Hi people, my name is Jeff and today we're going to be doing another fairly simple tutorial for Moodle. Now first of all, what is Moodle? Moodle is a learning management system. It is basically an easy way for schools and teachers to give students assignments, grade their homework, keep track of their scores, and have their courses be available online. If you've ever worked with something like Blackboard or Smart School, it's going to be fairly familiar in usage to you guys. Now there are a couple of reasons why we chose for this specific solution. First of all, for our demonstrative purposes, it is perfect. It has everything we need it to have, and it is free to use up until certain amounts of users. And within our test case scenario, we aren't really going to have like 5,000 students log into this, so those limitations are really no problem to us. Secondly, you can already see it has a great amount of fairly detailed documentation, of which I borrowed for all the commands we're going to need to install it. These are all straight ripped from their support pages and their installation guides for Ubuntu. I'm not going to claim that I made these up myself because they're way too long for that. Now, one of the prerequisites we're now going to be installing here is going to be Apache. We have already installed Apache in a previous video, which I will link down below, and we can just very easily check if it's still working by just going to our local host and getting this screen. So, without any further ado, let's dive into command line and start off with the command we always start off with, and that is going to be to update our machine with sudo apt-get update and sudo apt-get upgrade. Not a lot of time has passed since the last time we did this, so it shouldn't really have to do too much to bring itself up to date. I'll just assume that it has to download about 100 megabyte now. My internet connection hasn't been the stablest today, so it's going to take an estimated 2 more minutes, so I'm just going to shut up and speed this part up. And with that, our machine has been updated and we can start off with our first series of commands. Firstly, we want to install MySQL, both the client and server, PHP, libapache2 mod.php, which is a library for Apache to allow for PHP services. I'm going to copy this one over. Here, just say yes for installation. You can see it's going quite fast. There's not many big files it actually has to install, so shouldn't really take too long. The next block, honestly, is probably going to take a lot longer because now we're going to be installing a lot of PHP MySQL compatibility layers, prerequisites, and libraries to allow the two to work together. Copy it again, paste it, say yes to it, and now it's going to grab all those files, install what needs to be installed, extract what needs to be extracted. And now all we have to do is to restart Apache. That's done. We can just use simple system ctl command to check out if Apache 2 is still properly running. If I can actually type status correctly. And as you can see, it's still working properly, just have to use Q to get out of that prompt. Right? Now, the way they're going to be downloading all the files for Moodle is that they're going to be getting them off of GitHub or their own self-run Git repository. So we are going to have to install Git for this. Apparently, it's already been installed. Great. So we can just change to the opt directory. And we are going to get ourselves a clone. Why do I keep cutting? I want to copy. So we're going to get ourselves a clone from their Git repository, which is located over here. And it is going to now download all the files we will need for Moodle. Isn't too big of a package in and of itself, honestly. I expected it to be much bigger on Drive. But it can be perfectly hosted in like a 20 gigabyte virtual machine if you're just experimenting with it. Now, if you would be running this in an actual environment, something more akin to like a terabyte of redundant storage space would be very much recommended for it, because it is going to, on its own, have all the documents on the server and are going to be shared through its systems to the students. So you really don't want to lose any of that data. But for testing purposes, this is quite fine. And now that this is almost finished, it's going to create a folder called Moodle, to which we are going to navigate. Now that all the files are downloaded, we're just going to move to the Moodle directory. And I am personally not sure what the next couple of commands are going to do. Very unsure. I have not used Git at all, to be honest, and they're not really too well explained in the documentation for Moodle itself. So just take my word for it that this does stuff you need it to do. Alright, and that is going to be us done with all the git commands. So now we are just going to copy all the files we downloaded to var www.html. This will just put all the files we will need right where they need to be. Next up, it also downloaded. We also need to make this folder. This is the folder where all of Moodle's data will be stored. Not its configuration files, but all the stuff it will be hosting will be stored within Moodle data. Just have to make that directory and change its permissions. First of all, by changing its owner recursively to the user www and the group data. It's Moodle data, not Moodle dat. Now we're going to set permissions on the folder recursively so that everyone can read, write, and execute. Then we are going to set the rights for the HTML Moodle folder itself to read, write, execute for the owner, and to read and write for everyone else. Is it read and write? I think it's read and execute. Yes, I think it's read and execute. I'm not really familiar. I need to brush up on my permissions again. It's been a while. If I can just properly copy this one. That's all that setup work done. Now we're going to create ourselves a MySQL config file, or at least edit it. So we're going to need to find 3 specific lines. Default storage engine needs to be this value. The inob B file per table needs to be 1, and the file format needs to be Barracuda. Just going to have to browse through here. Or wait, I need to check a little thing first. I think I made a little mistake here. I think we have to add these to. I actually need to look at my. Actually need to look at the documentation. Let's see, the MySQLD section. Okay, so after consulting Moodle's own documentation again, all 3 of these just have to be added to the bottom of the file. So I will just do so. Again, not 100% sure what these do, because, well, we haven't really gotten any classes on MySQL yet, but the documentation says they work, so we will see. I'm going to save that file, and then we are going to have to restart MySQL. And this is going to be the big moment of truth to see if what I did actually works. Seems like it doesn't. Okay, so after a bit of digging, what I discovered is that all of this is not necessary if your MySQL version is 8.0 or above. And I, without realizing, got 8.0 or above, so little mistake on my part. I already removed these from the file and I will not be including these in the document I'll be providing to you guys, just to clear that up a bit. So if the MySQL service restarted, we are now going to make our database. And the password it's going to be asking for is just your root password. So first of all, we are going to create a database called Moodle. It's going to have the default character set and some more stuff that I am currently unable to decode myself. To copy these over, give the OK sign. We only changed one row. Then we are going to create a user. In my case, I am going to change this to just Jeff. Make it easy on me. And at the end here is going to be your password. In my case, I choose for Server 2019 because that's what I'm used to from my actual classes. I'm going to paste this one here. And again, query OK. Then we are going to give myself the rights to basically do everything on this database. Come on, just no, select correctly. There you go. And again, query OK. Perfect. Few more little things that we have to do. First of all, we are going to quit out of MySQL. And now finally we are going to be completing the setup because some new files have been created by MySQL inside of the going to reaffirm this one. Also, if you're not comfortable with doing the following configuration through the command line, then it is suggested you give rights to everything, give all the rights to everyone on the system so that you can use the web-based configurator to build your own Moodle. Once you have gone through this configuration in the web browser, you will have to set it back to 755. Like we had set it to all the way up here. So just to reaffirm, only set it to 777 if you're going to use the web-based configurator. Now, let us test if what we did actually works. So we are going to restart using systemctl our Apache service. Oh, it is Apache 2. Forget it. And we are really quickly going to check the status to see if nothing is wrong, but because we haven't had an error file, everything should still be a-okay. So if we want to go to Moodle, we are going to add a slash to the back of localhost, given Moodle, and it drops us right into the web-based configurator, in which you will configure the basic settings for Moodle. But that is currently outside of the scope of this video, and it is already running quite long. So I would like to thank all of you for watching. Again, none of these commands are my own creation. I took these directly from Moodle's documentation. I will provide a more clear document that is, as always, color-coded in the description below if you're interested to follow along and learn about, well, basically setting up Moodle in this case. And I'll be seeing you guys in another tutorial. Thank you all for watching. Bye for now.